Yeah. Hello everyone. Hi. Okay. I hope you guys can hear and see me. Or see the screen. And as usual, any questions before I get further? And I'm sorry about the last class. I was helpless. Uh, but there was no connection available all of a sudden, and I was.
Hi Arun,
Yeah, hi.
I have one question. That day you showed that two jar files for the Oracle database connection in the servlet, right?
Which program are you talking about? Can you just tell me the example name?
The CRUD operation for the servlet connection, we need to copy two jar files for that one.
This one you are talking about?
Yeah, you copied two jar files in this, I think that.
Oh, see that there are two occasions I did that.
Yeah.
One is for uploading a photo. For uploading a
No,
photo,
there is. No, not for the photo, the first one, but I'm using MS SQL, right? So I want to know, I already copied one jar file, it's a connector jar file.
Yes,
For me, the insert operation is working, just I want to confirm that that's the only one jar file I need to copy, or any other thing is there.
If you are using MySQL, then you just need to copy one jar file called MySQL connector.
Okay, yeah, then I did that one. Yeah.
If you look at my desktop, you see something called MySQL-connector. I hope this is what you copied, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If that is the case, then that's fine. You can use the same thing for all other operations.
Okay. And one more thing, if you are doing any changes in the HTML or servlet, every time we need to clean the project or clean the server and close the Eclipse and okay.
No. You just need to do if you modify XML file, then you just need to clean and restart the server. If you make any changes to the HTML and servlet, you don't need to clean it. You just restart it, or even you don't need to restart. If you refresh, that will be fine.
Oh, okay. Okay, but I want to, yeah. Sometimes it's not working, sometimes if I clean or sometimes if I close the Eclipse and...
Sometimes your system is storing a cache. Even on the day we had the same issue, right? So
yeah.
When we were working on Ishita's machine, then we found that it was storing in the system cache, and what is happening is even we restarted. But when we closed the Eclipse, it started working all of a sudden. So sometimes it happens. It's all issue with the IDE. It has nothing to do with the servlets. It's the problem with the IDE.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So if you restart it, then
Okay.
it will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Suman, I just saw your email. I'll just go through it and I'll reply back to you. Right. I just saw the email when I logged in today. So I'll go through it and I'll reply back to you. Alright. Okay. So what exactly I had in my plan, I had a plan yesterday was, you can download Tomcat from the internet, or I can also help you with. There are two options. You can download and install, or you can download and extract. If you're downloading a exe, then you need to install it. But if you're downloading a binary file, you don't need to install it. You can just extract it. That will do good for you. I'll help you with this one, right? I can help you with the Tomcat itself. I'll do that today, along with the rest of the attachments. I'll email that to you. Okay, so I hope everything is going great, and I hope you people are catching up the things, right? And because I think, okay, Shiva will have a different plan because we are almost going to end the trainings. So I want you guys to go through all the concepts, and if you have any questions, let me know. We can devote an 15 to 20 minutes every day at the end of, before the session, at the starting of the session or at the end of the session to discuss those questions. Right. So far we covered MVC architecture. I hope you guys are much comfortable with the servlets and JSPs now. Now, I want to introduce Ajax. All right. I want to introduce Ajax because you guys are already familiar with the JavaScript. You guys are already familiar with the JavaScript. I want to introduce Ajax now. So let's see how Ajax helps us. Now, before I do that, I have a quick question for all of you. I have a HTML web page. I have a static HTML web page. Okay. I have a static HTML web page and I have 10 image tags in it. I'll tell you what exactly I meant. Now imagine this is my HTML document. Now in this HTML document, I have my image tags. And in this way, I have 10 times the image tags. I have 10 image tags. Now tell me how many times I hit the server. Will I hit the server only once and get all the 10 images? Or for every image, I go to the server and get the image? I reiterate my question. I have a HTML document. And in my HTML document, I have 10 images. So what exactly happens? All the 10 images are loaded at once, or one image will be loaded at once, and for 10 images I hit the server 10 times. For 10 images will I hit 10 times, or well, 10 images I hit only once? You can just take a wild guess, either 10 or 1. Okay, let me answer it. If you have 10 images, you will hit the server for 10 times. Yeah, no, it will not be once, it will be 10 times actually, you do that. So, that's the reason, when you load a web page, it is very costly. When you load any web page, it's very costly. Why it's very costly? Because you see all these are images itself. All these are what? Images itself. Everything is an image there. So when you load this web page, if you have 10 images, it hit the server for 10 times and get the 10 images. It will hit the server for 10 times. Every time it hit, it get one image. So it is very costly to load a web page. It is very, very costly to load a web page. And that is the reason we introduced JavaScript to validate the data. That is the reason we introduced JavaScript to validate the data. Suppose, imagine, you filled this entire form. Don't worry about this entire form because it's a very small form. Normally, you try to fill any, if you try to fill any online forms, those forms will spread across multiple pages. Formally, next thing is, when you start applying for your jobs, the new organization will ask you to fill your details. And your entire details will not fit in a single form. It will spread across multiple forms, multiple pages. Now you fill the multiple pages and you click on the final submit. Then you realize that whatever the data you entered it's not a valid data. Then what happens? You go to the server and come back and you see all your error messages. That doesn't make sense, right? Because what is HTTP protocol? What is HTTP protocol? You submit the request and you disconnect yourselves. Then your server will process the request, and when your server will realize that there is something wrong with the data, and server will come back and give you the message. What happens? You are reloading your entire page again. And what happens in your web page? You have 10 images. Then again your 10 images will be loaded one after another. So it's very costly to load a web page. So they introduced a concept called Ajax. So what is Ajax is asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Now if you look at this, what is Ajax? Ajax is the art of exchanging the data with a server and updating the parts of a web page without reloading the whole page. This is very, very important point. You don't reload the entire page. You just update a parts of a web page. Ajax is the art of exchanging data with the server and updating the parts of a web page without reloading the whole page. So this is very powerful thing. So we need to be aware of this. Right, people can develop servlet, people can develop JSP, but what happens? Your entire page gets loaded. Your entire page gets loaded. But what is Ajax? Ajax helps you in loading the part of the web page without reloading your entire web page. So this is much easier, right? This is quick, this is faster, right? So, but how do we do Ajax? How do we do Ajax? So that's what, first I'll demonstrate one example what all I did. Now I have one project. See, I already developed the application instead of doing it in the session because it's the same routine code. Only the Ajax part will be different, rest of the things will be same. Your DAO will remain same, DTO will remain same, controller will remain same. Only the JavaScript part has changed. Rest of the things are already same. So that's the reason I developed the code in earlier only. Right? Look at this. What do you think? You want me to enter the data completely? Let me pick up some other names. Or let me show you the Gmail registration part. I think for that I need to sign out this. Okay. There should be a sign in option. Yeah, create an account. Hey, focus here. What is happening now? You have a lot of details and you have a submit button at the bottom. You have a lot of details and you have a submit button at the bottom. I want you to focus on this. Choose your username. I'm doing this. And you all know this account is already available, right? It's already in use. Someone already has that username. Try another. What do you think? Is it a client side or is it a server side? You got that error message or you got a error message or a validation message. Do you think that validation message is from the client side or is it from the server side? Oh, it was a question for you people. Was it from a client side or was it from a server side? Yeah, it's on the server side. Perfect. Okay. Now thing is, did I do the submit? Did I do the submit? I didn't, right? So when I didn't do the submit button, how come it was able to talk to a server? Because we all know that when I click on the submit button, then only I reach the destination address. That's what, right? So we got all these examples all these days. What happened? When you click on the submit button, then only your request was submitted to the server. On submit, your request was submitted to the server. But did I click on the submit button so that it communicates to the server? No, I didn't. Then how come it is able to talk to the server? Now that's what we are talking about. Ajax, asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Asynchronous. You are interacting with the form. You are interacting with the form. You are interacting with the form. Look at this. I'm interacting with the form. I moved on to enter the password. So meanwhile, it has talked to the server. So this is what asynchronous is all about. You are still continuing interacting with your form. You are still interacting with your form, and meanwhile, some program has been invoked on the server to let me know whether this username is available or not. So this is what asynchronous. And this asynchronous requests are sent using what? JavaScript. This asynchronous requests are made using what? JavaScript. This asynchronous requests are made using what? JavaScript. Then fine. You understood why it is why we are calling it as asynchronous. It's asynchronous because you are interacting with your form. You are interacting with the form simultaneously. It is talking to the server. Alright, it is simultaneously talking to the server, so it is asynchronous. And we make this asynchronous request. You make this asynchronous request with the help of what? JavaScript. So now there is a reason why we call it as a asynchronous JavaScript. And why are we calling it as a and XML? Because your JavaScript is not platform dependent. JavaScript can also used on Microsoft. Microsoft .NET Framework also use JavaScript to do the client-side validation. So this asynchronous JavaScript request can be to the Java server-side programs. This asynchronous JavaScript can also be to the .NET server-side programs. But when you make a request, the server responds back, right? The server responds back, right? The server can respond with the XML, or server can also respond back with a text. So your responses can be a text-based responses, or your responses can be a XML-based response. And why XML? Because XML is platform neutral. The way JavaScript is platform neutral, XML is also platform neutral. So it doesn't matter whether you use Java or .NET or PHP. XML is platform neutral. So your responses can be in XML or responses can be in text. So since responses can also be in XML, we say asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Guys, it was earlier term. Nowadays, responses is not only text and XML. Responses can also be JSON. I'll be discussing JSON also today. So your Ajax responses can be a text-based responses. Your Ajax responses can also be a XML-based responses. They can also be JSON responses. But initially when Ajax was introduced, we don't have a JSON. So we had JavaScript text-based responses and XML-based responses. So we called it as a Ajax. But they are not changing the term yet. They're still using the Ajax term itself. Now, so same thing I tried to accomplish. Whatever it was there here, right? Whatever it was there. Whether the username is available or not. Whether the username is available or not. The same thing I also accomplished. How did I? You're going to see that. Look at this. You got a username here, right? And I say something. Arun. Hey, it's available for you. It's already engaged. Okay. So I did that, right, using Ajax. So I'm going to discuss this part for you. I hope it's clear for you what is the significance of Ajax and why the name is derived as asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Why we call it as asynchronous, why we call it as a JavaScript, why it is called as XML. I hope it's clear for you. Now what we are left with? Left with is we should know how to implement Ajax. We should know how to use. We should learn how to use Ajax. So before we learn Ajax, I want to discuss about this XML HTTP. The keystone of Ajax is XML HTTP request object. XML HTTP request object. All modern browsers support XML HTTP request. Whereas your Internet Explorer 5 and Internet Explorer 6, they uses ActiveX object. If you are using Internet Explorer 5 and 6, they use ActiveX. But if you are using any modern browser other than this 5 and the 6, it's XML HTTP request object. Now what is the significance of this? It is used to exchange the data with a server behind the scenes. So how your Ajax is accomplished? Ajax is accomplished with the help of your XML HTTP request. What is the definition of Ajax we learned? Ajax is the art of exchanging the data with a server and updating the parts of a web page without reloading the whole page. But how this is accomplished? Because of the XML HTTP request. It is used to exchange the data with a server behind the scenes, parts of a web page without reloading the whole page. So first thing is you should know how to create an object. You are creating an object for XML HTTP request. Now in case if you are using Internet Explorer 5 and 6, you should do this. So you have to do a check. You have to do a check. Is your browser window supports XML HTTP? Yes, then create HTTP object. If no, create ActiveX object. If yes that, if yes no this, then how do you make an AJAX request? There are two methods. There is an open method and there is a send method. This open method takes three arguments. The first argument is the type of request, that is whether it is a GET request or POST request. The second argument is the URL, means the file which it has to call on the server. The program or the file resides on a server. Then you see a boolean value true, that indicates that true means asynchronous request. False means synchronous request. Then you call the send method. Now normally you pass arguments, right? I mean, if you remember, whenever you make a request to the server, what do? On the server side you say request.get parameter, request.get parameter, request.get parameter. Now in case if you want to send some data to the server, look at this. Question mark, some variable and a value. This is how you send the values using GET request. Look, there is another example. So you are passing first name and last name to the server. This is for GET. But if you have a POST, there is a different scenario. I want you to observe this. If it is a POST, your URL is not carrying the value. You have a separate method called send, and the send method is taking the arguments for you. The send method is taking the arguments for you. So we will be seeing some examples. Let's get to the examples here. I have the same HTML, insert.html. I go down. First I would like to start with this example. Page down. Then, okay, somebody, yes. Oh, you raised the hand? I'm not sure who raised the hand here. Okay. Oh, you want me to unmute you?
Yeah, Arun?
Yeah.
I had a question about the open method of the XML HTTP. You said that in the get, if we use the get attribute, then we will be passing data in the URL itself. However, I also see a send method associated with it. So every time we use the open, we are using the send method anyway. So what's the significance of the send method here?
See here, this is only tells that where exactly it will open the XML HTTP, and when you do this, you are sending the request. This is, you are opening the XML HTTP object, that is, you are opening the connection. You establish a connection with the server, and then you send whatever you want to send it. Now here you send nothing, right? It is like submitting a request.
Right.
This is like submitting a request. This is like establishing a connection with the server.
Okay. Okay.
But since it is a GET your data is in the form of URL, and when it is a post, your data is sent through send, and for us it looks like a URL only, but it will be encoded. It will not be visible in the address bar. We know, right, what the difference between the get and the post is. Get carries the data in the form of URL, whereas your post don't carry the data in the form of URL. It will be hidden from the user. You cannot look at it. It's encoded and sent. So the send method got that mechanism. Whatever the data you pass here, it encodes it and sends it, and it submits the request. Whereas get, it carries the data in the form of URL, but this is like you are submitting the request. This is like you are establishing a connection.
Okay. Okay.
Now let's look at the example here. So I have a username field. Then on blur, I'm invoking a function called check availability of the username. So I'm calling a JavaScript function. Check availability. Here we go. Then this is a snippet I already discussed. We are trying to achieve browser compatibility because we are not sure the end user is going to use which browser. You may be using a Windows machine, a very old machine where you still have Internet Explorer 5 and 6. So that's the reason I want to achieve that browser compatibility. So I'm doing this. So if it is Internet Explorer 5 and 6, I create ActiveX object. If it is modern browsers, I create XML HTTP request object. Now, once this object is created, and this is called, alright, inline functioning. Look at this. You're writing the function without any function name. And you are assigning that function to what? An event called ready state change. Now we need to discuss this too. What is this ready state change? Your XML request and you have your responses. I said earlier there are two types of responses: text response, XML response. And this is where you need to focus: events. Ready state change. Your ready state value changes from 0 to 4. Okay. So when the ready state value is 0, what it is? Request not initialized. 1. Server connection established. Then request received. Then you are talking about, you asked me about the open and the send. So if you observe, on 0, not even the open method was called. On 1, open method was called. On 2, send was called. And you know about HTTP protocol. After establishing a connection, it disconnects itself. Then what happens? Processing the request. Whose server? When the request is finished and the response is alright, when the processing the request, then what happens? It has to re-establish the connection. So if it returns status as a 200, it's okay. If it returns status as a 404, it's page not found. If it returns status as a 404, it's page not found. So let me add something here. On ready state change, I'm adding an alert for your information. XML HTTP dot ready state. I just want to tell you how the value keeps changing. Refresh, then username. I did. So what is your now request? It's what is 1 stands for. Server connection established. Okay. Now why again 1? Server connection established, then it will be what? It will be 2, right? Request received. The server receives the request. So that will not be shown here. And after processing the request, it will re-establish the connection. Right. then request is 3, processing the request. Now 4, response is ready. So what do you understand from this is your ready state value keeps changing. Your ready state value keeps changing. So every time your ready state value changes, the logic gets executed. Every time the ready state value changes, the logic gets executed. Every time the ready state value changes, the logic gets executed. So what are you doing? You will be processing only when your response state, ready state value is 4. Now what do you mean by 4? 4 means your response is ready. What do you mean by 200? It's successful. Then you are storing that response in the error username. So here there is a field called error username. Here, there's a table data, error username, and you're printing it there, right? It's available for you, it's not available for you. Simple, right? So on ready state change, you write an inline function. Then within that inline function, you confirm whether your ready state is 4 and response status is 200. If yes, then you have your response in the form of text. You are assigning it. But look at this. You have returned that on ready state change. So every time the ready state change value, it changes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So every time it changes, this function gets called, and within the function you are confirming if the ready state is 4 and the response is 200, then only you are performing the logic. Otherwise, no. Right. Then look at this. You got an open method, you got a send method. So you have an open method. Let me add it. Hello. Let me add alert here. Ready state change, right? Where is that? XML. Let me refresh. 1. You see, 1 and then hello. What is 1? Server connection established. So when your connection is established, so when you say open, connection is established. Then you got, I printed it as what? Ready state 1. Then when you say send, after send, your request will be received. After send, your request will be received. So when you say open, it only establishes the connection. When you say send, it submits the request. So what happens here? I'm calling a function called check availability of the, I'm calling a URL, check availability of the username. So let me look at the web.xml. So I'm using 3.0, so I didn't configure any servlets. If you are using servlet 3.0, it's not configured in the servlets, we use annotations. So I opened the controller, then I found a servlet, then I found the servlet URL value. Yes, this servlet gets called. What I'm doing on the servlet, request.get parameter. Why are you doing request.get parameter? Because when you call the open method, you have a URL as a second argument, and URL is carrying a value. It's a get request. So you got a username and you created a DAO object. With the help of DAO object, you are trying to check whether this username is already available or not. If that username, if there is a record exists, with the username, if a record exists, then you say it's already in use. Guys, focus here. You're printing on a servlet only. You said it's already in use. Otherwise, you said it's available for you. So this is your response. What type of response it is? Text response. What type of response? Text response. That is the reason when your status is 200, you get XML HTTP dot response text, you assigned it to some tag, table data tag, and you see the message is available for you. Is this clear or any questions? Because the next example is a bit complicated than this one.
Arun, I didn't get the XML HTTP dot response text funder. How did it get transferred from the servlet?
Okay, so what is happening? On the servlet only you are printing it, right? On the servlet only we are printing. Okay,
Yes.
but are we making a normal call or are we making an Ajax call?
This looks like a normal call to me.
No. You cannot say from here, right? You have to say it from here. Is it your normal servlet call or is it your Ajax call?
Okay, yeah, it's a Ajax call.
Let's do this. This is your normal call. What happened?
Okay.
This is your normal servlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are calling a servlet and you are passing some value. It says already in use.
Hmm.
Let me do it again. It was your normal call. So when you do your normal call, what is the response you see? Where do you see the response? You see on the web page, right?
Right.
But now what is happening? You are not making your normal call. You are making your Ajax call, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you are making your Ajax call, whatever you print on the servlet, that will become the response of the servlet. That will become the response of the Ajax call.
Okay.
So you are on the servlet, you are trying to print some messages, and those messages will become the response of your Ajax call.
Okay.
Since it's a plain text, it's a plain text, right? So it's a plain text. Your response is what? Response text.
Okay.
And that text you are printing where? That text you are printing where? I'm sorry. That text you are printing it here. So available for you.
Okay.
So since you are making an Ajax call, whatever your servlet prints, that becomes the response of your Ajax call.
Okay. So
Since
basically
you are
it gets
not
assigned.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It basically gets assigned to this response text object.
Yes. Response text is an attribute of XML HTTP object.
Okay.
It gets assigned to the response text. XML HTTP is an object. Now this object got an attribute called response text. So whatever the data your server sends, that will be assigned to this response text attribute. And now whatever is assigned into the response text, I'm assigning it to I'm printing it on a HTML page.
Okay. Okay. And one more question. I didn't understand the syntax of the onReady state change equals to function. How does it get?
This is like, look, this is another function. Okay, I'll give a function name. You can do this, or you can also do this way.
Okay.
Instead of writing a separate function and assigning that function to onReady state change, what we do is any of this function. See, normally I do this in case if I feel that this is a reusable thing. If I feel that this hello function is there, right? If I feel that this hello function is reusable, then I do this way. But when I know that it is it's not a reusable component, then why should I do this? I can do this way, right?
Right.
That's
And
the
this
only
was this function is executed every time the state is changed.
Yes.
So how does that work?
That is what event handling.
Oh,
Normally, here I do this, right? Look, I move from username. See, I'm coming out of the username, right? Automatically the function is getting called, right? This is event handling. So when I just do that, I'm performing an event. With that event, there is a function associated. Here, what is the event I'm doing?
On blur.
On blur. So I associated a function with this event. But this event is written by somebody. It's already been defined. So in the same way, ready state change is also a event. So every time this ready state value changes, this event gets triggered, and that is invoking this function.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it seems like you're on blur. Here in the place of on blur, we have written something called on ready state change. That is, every time this ready state variable value changes, every time the value changes, I'm calling this function.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So any other questions from others? Or it's clear? Okay. Fine. So let's get on to the next, a bit complicated part. I want to upload a photo. I don't want to upload a photo on submit button. As soon as I do this, I want the photo to get uploaded. As soon as I do this, I want the photo to get uploaded. Okay. Let's now do it from here. Let's do it from here. It's a huge big example I have, so I'll discuss all of the things. Let's see. So how do we do this using Ajax? Now you already know this, how to upload a file. You guys already learned this, how to upload a file. But how we do it with the help of Ajax is the concern now. So again, focus over here at the bottom of the page. I have this photo. Guys, what I'm doing, input type equal to file. You know that, but to get the browse button we use this. What is the event I'm writing here? On change, I'm calling a function. What is the function I'm calling? Upload file. But that is fine, but what is this dot files? So when you click on the browse button, you pick some files, right? You can say multiple, you can pick multiple files, or you can pick a single file. You can pick multiple files, or you can pick single file. So this dot files refers to the number of files selected. This dot files refers to the number of files selected. This is again from the your event. On change is an event. On you are calling a function upload file. And when you say this dot files, it refers to the files you choose. It refers to the files you chose. Now I'm calling what? Upload files function. Guys, here, focus. You have a files. And before that you have a variable, uploaded file address. Now this is something you are already familiar with. You are doing the browser compatibility, and you are also familiar with this ready state change. Ready state change. So whenever your ready state value changes, you are calling a function. And I want you guys to focus from here. You are calling an open function. And what is your first argument? Because you are uploading a file. You are uploading a file and it cannot be a get. It needs to be a post. And what is the server side program you are calling? Upload image. And it's an asynchronous request. And you call a send method. Look at this. And your send method is taking what? Some data. Now what is this is, your browsers support this object. The way your browser supported XML HTTP request, your browsers also support form data object. And only the modern browsers support this. Form data object. You are creating a form data object, and to that form data you are appending files of 0. Why files of 0? Because your browser is allowing you to pick only one file here. You cannot select multiple files. But you can also write a mechanism to do that. It's a very simple mechanism actually. If you want to select multiple files, you just need to write multiple here. You see this stuff? Input type equal to file. Just write down multiple. And you will have the option of selecting multiple files. Look, I can select multiple files, right? But I don't want to do that. I refresh. Can I do this? Upload file. So what are you doing here? You are adding that file. There is only one file, right? But actually this dot files is what? It's an array. You can select multiple files. So if you select multiple files, then you need to do this. Form data dot append, some other name. But I have only one file. I know I'm selecting only one file. So I did this. Form data dot append. Then the send method is carrying form data. Now which servlet you are calling? Upload image. When I open this upload image, then you already know familiar with this logic. Whenever you want to upload something, you use disk file item factory, commons file upload and commons IO. You use commons file upload and commons IO. Then you are doing disk file item factory. You check whether it is supporting multi-part or not. I told you earlier that whenever you want to do upload an image, it should be a multi-part / form hyphen data. You write, right? Method equal to type. What we do? Method equal to post and content encryption type equal to multi-part / form data. Look at this example, upload image, web content, encryption type, multi-part / form hyphen data. So on the servlet, you are confirming whether it is multi-part or not. If it is multi-part, then what are you doing? You, on the servlet file upload, you pass the request objects. And this is not the logic which I'm doing it for the first time. We did this earlier when we uploaded a photo. Then you are creating a file and you are storing the file on a desktop. Here I'm storing a file on a desktop. Normally you store it on a server address. And what are you doing? What is your response? Your response is address. where the file is stored. We discussed this, right? In the database, we won't store images. In the database, we don't store images. SQL plus system. I don't say star, rather I say photo. What do you see here? You see all the addresses here, right? You see what? You see all the addresses here. Why do you see addresses? Because in the database, I won't be storing the images. I'll be storing the address where the image is stored. So when I upload a file, what is my response? Hey, the file is uploaded and this is where the address is stored. So I'm returning the response back. And whatever the response it gives you back, and that response, look at this. That response, you are assigning it to a variable called upload file address. So there is a variable which is storing the address where the file is stored or where the image is uploaded. So this is nothing. This is the same stuff. Response text, whatever your servlet will return, that is being stored into a variable. That is fine. But are you guys clear about this? So the form data is an object supported by all your modern browsers, and in that form data you are storing a file and you are sending that file with the help of this send method. You store the file into the form data. Form data is the object holding the file, and you are sending the form data. That is, you are sending the file. And the way you read the way we did the logic for uploading a file, the same logic we use here. This is the same routine logic, and I am returning that address where the file is stored. Guys, any questions on this part? Is it clear? There is nothing new. Only these 2 lines are new for you people. These 3 lines. Rest of the things are same. Now, what I am doing is, after uploading, I get that address. That address I am storing into a variable called uploaded file address. Uploaded file address. Any questions, or is it clear? That's what's happening here. Yes.
Yeah, Arun, I was wondering, the file address, shouldn't it also be stored in the database? Like, I'm seeing that you're sending it back here in the HTML file, but it's not stored.
I got your question. The question is, the file address I'm storing into a variable, but it is not getting stored into the database, right? Is that your question?
Right.
Okay. The thing is,
yes,
I got your concern, but under which account I need to store? You want me to store the address, right? I'm okay with that. I want to store the address into the database. But for which user ID I want to store? Because I'm not storing the complete, I'm not uploading the complete information. If you observe, I'm not clicking on the register button. I'm only uploading an image.
Right.
So, but to which record I need to assign this image? So that's the reason what I did was I just uploaded an image. I just uploaded an image. Now this image need to be, now look at this. Now here let's say run. Now, look, I entered all the data, right? But what I'm doing, I'm only uploading an image now. I'm only uploading an image. Now, image is uploaded, and that address of the image, where it is stored, it's stored into a variable called uploaded file address. Okay? It's not stored in the database. The address is not stored in the database. The address is stored into a JavaScript variable now. Now look at this. Do you see the register button here? Now what I'm doing, when I click on this button, what is the function I'm calling? I'm calling a function called register, right? Guys, focus here. Here I'm talking about JavaScript object. Now I am creating a JavaScript object in the register function. Now I'm reading every value from the HTML and storing into this object. Object.first name, object.last name, object.username, password, gender, year, day, month, mobile number, email address. Guys, focus here. What I'm assigning it to photo? What I'm assigning it to photo? The uploaded address is there, right? I'm assigning it to photo. Then I'm making my ajax call. Now this ajax call is for what? Submitting the request. It's a post. What is that servlet you are calling? Insert servlet. And whatever the data which is in your JavaScript object, you are storing into the form data, and you are sending the form data. Now your form data, what is that you are doing on the insert servlet? Now there is a change in logic many here. I mean, it's more or less the same. Where is that? You got your first Ajax project and you got your insert servlet. It's the same routine stuff. Disk file item factory. You read all the values, first name, last name, all the stuff, and you read the address. If fi.get field name equals photo, get that address, and you just do it. Address will be stored. This is this is already done, right? So in the insert servlet, I don't need to do this. I'm sorry. Go down. Now the image is already stored into the database. Sorry, the image is already stored. So I just store the address into the database. I just store the address into the database. Done. Is this clear? I already uploaded the file. So when I am inserting, I just insert the address into the database. Now look at this. Let me do one thing first. Delete from i5_user. All records are deleted. I did commit. Right. Now okay, let me refresh this page. Let me refresh. Do you see any records now? You don't see records here, right? Because there is no records here. There is no records here. No records. Right? Now what I do? Password. It's available for me. mobile number, and choose the file, uploaded. Yes, it's uploaded. Now, after uploading, the address is stored into a variable. Now, when I click on the register, again I am making an ajax call. Record inserted. Now, go back and check in your DB. Record is there, right? So, everything I did it with the ajax. Everything I did with ajax. So, I check for the availability of the username using ajax. I check for I uploaded a file using ajax. Then after uploading, I get that address. That address I'm storing into a variable, and from that variable, what did I do here? To observe carefully, when a photo is there, I'm assigning what? Uploaded file address. Means I made an ajax call, and that returns a address. That address I stored into a variable. From that variable, I stored into a photo. So there are two different ajax calls. One ajax call is to upload a file, and after uploading a file, I'm storing that address into a variable. Then when I click on the register button, I'm making another ajax call. But before I make the ajax call, I stored all the data of the HTML fields. I stored all the HTML fields into a JavaScript object. But what about the photo? There is a uploaded file address. When I call the uploaded ajax call, then I'm storing into this. Then when I am making an ajax call, I'm storing the JavaScript data into what? When I'm making an ajax call, I'm storing the JavaScript data into a form data. Then I'm calling a send method to send the form data. Then I get what? I get a message as record inserted or record not inserted. So if you carefully observe, you don't have any JSP pages here. If you carefully observe, you don't have any JSP pages here. Whatever you have is only a HTML page. And with the help of Ajax and HTML JavaScript, you don't need any JSP pages now. You don't need any JSP pages, because everything you get response as what? Ajax responses. So far you use text-based Ajax responses. Right. So far you use text-based Ajax responses. Now we can also use XML-based Ajax responses that I'll discuss later. But do you have any question with respect to three things? I did an Ajax call to check for the availability of the username. I did an Ajax call to upload an image. I did an Ajax call to submit a record. So you guys have any questions with respect to this? Then you have to mute yourself. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Hi, Arun. You said no, before clicking the register button, the file address will be stored in the server. Now we are here, you are using the desktop, but actually the the address will be stored in the server, right?
Whatever the see, I got your
question. No, my question is actually before clicking the register button, the address is stored in the server or wherever it is. Suppose the person didn't click the register button and they disconnected or closed the page. Still, the image will be in the server, the address, or what happened to the image?
Then what we need to do in those cases is, you need to write some, we call those, there will be something called as, you know shell scripting, right? Do you know Unix programming, Unix shell scripting?
No, Arun.
Then there we write some we write some programs. Those programs execute after every time interval.
Okay.
I'm not getting the term. We call them as some programming. We write some programs which executes at every regularly time interval we get executed. Like after every 30 minutes or after every 1 hour or maybe for every day they get executed. So what we
Okay.
need
So
to
in
do is,
that.
yeah, I got your question. The question is, I
Mm-hmm.
uploaded a file, but I didn't click on the register button. Then what happens to
Yeah.
that file which is already uploaded? So what we
Mm-hmm.
need to do is we need to do the cleanup. We need
Okay.
to
Yeah,
do the
it's a
cleanup.
waste of memory also, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If they didn't register, it's a waste of memory also, right?
True, true, true. Then what we need to do is we need to do the cleanup activities actually. We have to check
Okay.
whether the respective address is in a database or not. If yes, keep the image. If no, remove the images. We can write those
Otherwise,
cleanup
we
functions.
cannot. Yeah. Otherwise, we cannot do if they didn't click the register button. The action didn't get. We cannot delete the image.
If you want to do anything on the server side, somebody should invoke a program. Either from the client side
Okay.
or on the server side, we should write those programs. Otherwise, you
Okay.
also have one more option here. What you can do is, you have that ajax call, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ajax call, you instead of calling it before, you can call it here itself. I mean, you are assigning all the data here, right?
Yeah.
You can call this here. That ajax call, instead of uploading the file address, upload file, you can do this. Okay, upload file, you can call that function, and you have to make sure that that function returns a value. Now if you see upload file is not returning a value, right? Your upload function should
Okay.
return that address. So you have to write that ajax call in such a way that this upload file function should return the address,
Okay.
and you can assign that address here. You can just call the function and you can assign it to this. Then what happens is you upload only when you click on the register.
Okay. Okay.
That can also be done. You can also do that.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
want to make
Thank
my
you.
job.
Yes.
I want to make my job easier, so I did this.
Okay. 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 And thank you.
So, guys, any other questions from? Okay. So far is good, right? Everything is well. Okay. But now there is one more thing. If you might have observed, when I upload the file, when I refresh this page, you see, I'm listing down all the records, right? I'm listing down all the records. I'm listing down all the records. Now, how this is happening? How this is happening? Simple. If you look at the HTML part, what is that you are doing here? On load. On load, you are calling a function called get all user details. On load, you are calling a function called get all user details. On load, you are calling a function called get all user details. Now in this, what are you doing? No, there's something wrong. There's a record here. Yeah, we have one record. I'll discuss that. So what exactly I am doing is on load. Here we go. Again, you are making an Ajax call. Okay. Now this time, what do you get in return is response text. what do you get in return is response text. Look at this part. What I'm doing, I'm calling a function getAllServlet. What is that ajax call I'm making? I'm making ajax call called getAllServlet. So if you open your getAllServlet and see what is happening here. Guys, focus here. When you say getAllServlet, you are calling what? User DAO.getAll method. Now what is your user DAO.getAll method returns? What is your user DAO.getAll method returns? It returns an array list of user object. It returns an array list of what? User object. Now what are you doing with that? How do I return this array list as a response? How do I return this array list as a response? I hope you got the question. Your response need to be a text. Your response need to be a XML. Your response need to be a text. Your response need to be an XML. How do you return an array list of user type as a response? How do you return an array list of user type as a response? So there is something called, you have to convert that array list to JSON. You have to convert that array list to JSON. That is, what do you mean by JSON? Just now I showed you. Just now I showed you how your JSON object looks like. This is how it looks like. So you need to convert that array list to JSON type. Now what is JSON? What is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So you need to convert your array list. You need to convert your array list to JSON type. How do you do that? In the libraries, I added two extra jar files. One extra jar file called JSON. Let's focus here. There's a jar file called JSON. With the help of this JSON library, I'm converting my array list object. Look, I'm creating a JSON object. Then on that JSON object, I'm calling what? Two JSON methods. So I'm converting this array list to JSON type and I'm printing it. I'm converting the array list to JSON type and printing it. Now this print will be treated as a text. It will be treated as a text. Actually, your array list of Java is converted to what? Array list of Java is converted to JSON type and you print it. And when you print it, it is treated as what? Response text. It is treated as what? Response text. But that response text should be converted back. Now let me show you this. Let me comment this out again. I'll tell you what happens. Look. I'm sorry. I'm very sad. I do alert. Then I say, what is that? Response text, right? Focus here, what happens? I refresh. You see this stuff? It is treated as a text. Look how your array list is converted to JSON type. You see on the alert box. Alright. Now what? It is a text. It is a text. You need to convert this text to JSON type. You should convert the text to JSON type. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Converting the converting text to JSON. What you did on the server side, you converted array list to JSON. and you're printing it as a text. What are you doing on the client side? Converting the text to JSON, right, with the help of that eval function. Now you print data. Something wrong with the expression here. Alert data. What's wrong with this? Okay, I can debug it. There is a consoler. Yes. There is something called else. So that is what causing the problem. So you got your if block. Okay. Else if else. Let's see what is the problem here. Line number 255, line number 271. Okay. This is else if, then else close, if close, other if, yeah, very still finish. Let's do this. You got your if else, then another if close, that is statement close, and this is your other extension close. Now it seems to be good. No error. Let's clear this. No errors. Why this error start? Okay. The for loop need to be closed. Yeah. Perfect. I missed out on that. For loop was not closed. Yeah. It's treated as an object, guys. If you see, observe it carefully. Earlier it was treated as a text. Earlier this was treated as what? It was treated as a text. Now it was treated as text. You are converting the text to what? JavaScript object. Now after converting to JavaScript object, what you want to do? Look at this browser. What you did? You want to get it in a tabular format, right? You want to get it in a tabular format. So you got a table. At the bottom of the page there is a table called data table. Then you get the data table. Then you are creating a row by calling a method insert row. And for the row you are inserting the cells. And for the cells you are adding the data. This is your header information. See, for the table you created a row. For the row you added cells. And for the cells you are adding the header information. Now you have a loop, and the loop got a data. So you are creating a row, you are adding the cells, and for the cells you are adding the data. Now there is only one record, so it displays only one record there, right? You have only one record, so you display one record. So let me add one more. Confirm password, whatever. Just finish it off. Done. Choose a file. Now it's a register. Record inserted. refresh this page, you see 2 records. But to get those 2 records, what is the piece of code you have written? I mean, to display those records, what is the piece of code you have written? If you observe this, this is what you did. And you did all this with JavaScript. It has nothing to do with Ajax. See, you got the data as a text, you converted the text to JSON object, and you have a loop, and in the loop you are constructing the rows, and to the rows you are adding the data. I mean, in the loop you are constructing a row, to the row you are adding the cells, and to every cell you are adding the data. To every cell you are adding the data. Guys, I'm sorry, give me a minute. I'm sorry. When you do it on a, if you want it on a separate page, then it need not to be Ajax call. It can be a separate call. Of course, you can do it on a separate page, but it need not to be Ajax call if you want to do it on a separate page. Because if anyhow you are loading a separate page, and you want to load a separate page, why you want to make Ajax call? When do we go for Ajax calls? We go for Ajax calls when you don't want to reload the whole page. You wanted to have it on the same page by only reloading a part of a web page. Then you make Ajax calls. If you want it on a different page, you can simply make a normal calls. Guys, any questions with respect to this? It's very simple thing. Though you have a lot of lines, you have some 15 to 20 lines of code here, or more than 15 to 20. It's very, very simple thing here. You get the table, and on the table you call insert row, and on the row you call insert cell. And on the cell you say inner HTML to add the data to the columns. This is your header. Then again you have a loop, and in the loop you are creating a row. Every time you enter the loop you create a row. To the row you are adding the cells, and to the cells you are adding the data. So any questions for me, or is it clear? Okay, if everybody is good, I'll show you one very interesting thing. You don't need to do this graph. If you see, you are doing this graph here, like writing this piece of code. Almost, I don't know, it is 203 till 246. You wrote 43 lines of code to get the table. You have written the 43 lines of code to get the table. Oh, I'm sorry. You got JSON is for only to convert array to text. I'm sorry, it's not that. Okay, so JSON is a JavaScript object notation. JSON is what? JavaScript object notation. So there is something called JSON. JSON is a library. JSON is a library which can convert a Java object. JSON is a library which can convert a Java object to JSON. What is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript object notation. It's only a notation. JSON is a JavaScript object notation. But what is JSON? JSON is a library which got some functions which can convert a Java object to a JSON notation. Right? Since you are doing response.getWriter, when you print that JSON, it will be treated as a text. So on the client side, what are you doing there was, since you get the response as a text, you have a built-in function called evaluate. you have a built-in function called evaluate. With the help of that evaluate function, you convert the text to JSON. Now what is JSON? JSON is a notation. It's a JavaScript object notation. It's not a library. JSON is not a library. JSON is how do you represent objects in JavaScript. That's what JSON is all about. And to convert a normal Java object to a JSON, we use a JSON library. We have a lot of libraries. JSON is one of the library which convert Java object to JSON. So in this way, you have a lot of libraries available. It can convert a Java object to JSON. The next thing, what I was trying to tell you that I have written some 43 lines of code to get the table. I have written some 43 lines of code to get the table in a HTML page. Instead, I have some library called, I have some JavaScript library called handlebars. I have some JavaScript library called handlebars. If you want to know more about it, you can read it from here. Handlebars. So you see a lot of tutorials. Then I'll tell you what we do with the help of this handlebars. So I have a library called, it is a JavaScript library. It is not your Java library. If it is a Java library, you will have a jar files. You add it in the lib folder. It is a JavaScript file. So I downloaded it from the internet. I'll tell you what I can do with this. If you observe carefully, I want you to focus on these two things. What do you see inside the script tag? Inside the script tag, do you see any script or you see only HTML? Guys, if you see, within the script I am writing a template. I am designing a template for the table. Within the script, I am designing a template for a table. Within the script, I am designing a template for a table. If you focus, look at this. It is a table. I mean, not a table, table row. Then you have a loop here. This is how you write it in handlebars. Hash each, in the sense loop. So the number of times the loop repeats, the number of rows gets constructed. How many records are there in the table? 2 records. So how many rows is needed? How many rows is needed? 2 rows are needed. Then I need to see what is the problem. Right. Go down. It's very small thing. I just finish it off. It's all about using a library. See, I commented the 43 lines of code and I enabled only 3 lines. I commented 43 and I enabled only 3 lines. You will be able to see the data. Right? How this is possible is, I said I added a one extra JS file, JavaScript library. With the help of that JavaScript library, I am creating a templates. I gave a ID to the script and I gave a type. What type of template it is? It's a handlebars template. It's a handlebars template. There is one row which is for table headers and there is another row. There is another row which is for table data. One row for table header, so there is another one for table data. But this table data one is inside a loop. If you have 2 records, then it repeats for 2 times. If you have 10 records, it repeats for 10 times. Then I have one more function. What is the function name? Template. This is important. Document dot get element by ID, and you are saying template name is nothing but data template. So get this template. Get this template, and you are compiling that template. Means you are checking whether there are any errors in this template or not. Because in this template you are writing some different syntaxes, right? You are checking for errors. So get template is a function. It's a user defined function. In this user defined function, I'm getting this template and I'm checking for errors in the templates. If no errors, I'm returning a template. I'm returning a template. Yeah. Now what I'm doing, I said by invoking the get template, I return the template, and in that get template function, I'm checking whether there are any errors in the template or not. If no errors, get the template, and to the template give the data object. What is this data? The JavaScript data. And that's it. It gives you HTML, and that HTML you put inside a table tag. In this table tag you have nothing. Now in the table tag you are putting the HTML. You are putting the HTML written by your template. And how do you get this template? By invoking the get template function. You have written 3 lines of code and your job is done. You are replacing 43 lines of code with 3 lines, and you still able to see data on the web page. And this is accomplished with the help of handlebars. So what is the first thing you need to do? First thing is you need to add that handlebars here. Like I loaded that handlebars. After loading the handlebars, I created a template. Then I have written a function to validate the template. Then at the end, I use the template and I pass data to the template. I pass data is your JavaScript data, JavaScript object. You pass that JavaScript object to the template, and that template will give you the complete data. If you want, you can see here. You will understand what do you mean by template. Just write down alert template. Then you write down alert HTML. You will understand the difference between the template and the HTML. Refresh. Look, this is your template. And this is your data. So you added data here. First name, last name, Arun Khan, Gaud. So what is happening is you don't need to pain yourself in constructing, that is in putting HTML, in putting the data and the HTML together. You don't need to pain yourself in putting the data and HTML together. You can construct templates, and to those templates you can pass the data object, and it will do it automatically. So that is the power of your handlebars. So handlebars is one library. There are a lot of other libraries. What handlebar does, there are a lot of other libraries which also do the same job for you. And I'm doing it with this. Yeah. Any questions? Is it clear for you guys? The handlebars.js. It is a bit advanced topic, but I felt this is the right time to discuss about it, because I have written 43 lines of code to do the same, whereas the same thing can be accomplished with the help of using a library. Any questions? Unless and until you work on it, you will not have a clear idea. So I want you to go through this example today, right? And if you can figure out, I have not used a single JSP file. So slowly your JSP gets what we call it as obsolete. That is, you will not be using JSPs anymore, because whatever the job you can do with the JSPs, you can also do it with this. Oh, you want me to open the handlebar.js? It is JavaScript. Unreadable it will be. It is JavaScript, but it's not written by us. Somebody has took the pain to write it. Okay. So guys, I would like to stop here, okay, because I think I discussed a bit more, lot of things today, and that is completely new to you. So just go through this example, each and every example, everything is solved. The only thing is you just need to create a database in your computer, and I hope you already have the Eclipse and what we call it as Tomcat installed, so you can just run that application and you can see, you can read each and every line and to understand things better. Today we did JavaScript and Ajax. Now the same example what we did today, tomorrow I'm going to do it with a jQuery. The same thing what I did today with a JavaScript, I'm going to do it with a jQuery. And we saw response text, we saw response JSON, we saw response text, we saw response JSON. Tomorrow we're going to see response XML also. So tomorrow will be jQuery, Ajax and response XML. I think once I finish up this, then I'll be discussing, yeah, I may start tomorrow Hibernate or may not, but I'll be, first my priority will be jQuery, Ajax and response XML. Then I'll be talking about Hibernate. Yeah, you can go ahead. Oh, you want me to unmute you? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's not regarding today's class. It's just regarding this installation of Eclipse and Tomcat.
Yeah, I'll
my
help
servlet is not working. Yeah.
Do you need help in fixing the issue, or you just have a question?
I just want you to show me how I have downloaded my Eclipse, but after that, how to download the Tomcat and how to write it. This, because I'm seeing your part is C program for Java. Do I need to install Java as well? Java JRE.
No, you need to have Java installed on your machine. Just give me a minute, I'll make you a presenter.
Yeah, okay.
Guys, any other questions? Or is it all good? Okay. Yes.
Arun, I was having problems with inserting data and photo in my servlet. So maybe once you're done with her, you can take a look at my project.
Okay, sure. I'll do that. Okay. Okay, guys, if no questions, thanks everybody. We'll catch you in the next session, and I'll share the program code soon along with the recording. I hope everybody got the recording till 27. There is no, I think you didn't get the 28th recording, right? Did you get a 28th recording also, or no? Let me know I think 28 recording was not shared with you. We will be sharing it today, and I hope you got the access to all the recordings so far. Thanks everyone. Catch you in the next session.